I would like to suggest you stand for this song. If you really understand that behind that anticipated pleasure, there is bliss. You've been looking for that bliss all the time. Like that wonderful story of a man in a family, a farmer in the Near East, I think it was, who farmed a very poor farm, just eked out a bare existence with his family and children. When somebody came by and told him that if you could go down deep into the earth, you might find a diamond which would solve all your problems. You'd have all the money you've ever wanted. And he thought, well, that's for me. And he left his family and went looking for this diamond. Never found it, died a pauper in Portugal. Meanwhile, his little girl was playing with a ball in the backyard, and the ball fell into the well. And in trying to reach the bottom of the well, she pulled out something shiny. It was pretty. She used to like to play with it. Then another traveler came by and said, "Hey, this is a diamond." And it turned out the man had been sitting on one of the most valuable diamond mines in the world. And he went everywhere else looking for it, looking for that wealth that he had sitting right in his own backyard. This is the story of man. We think that it's there. It's always been right here. The direction you need to seek that redeeming light is not outward, it's inward. When you can bring your energy upward, when you can bring it to the point between the eyebrows, and always visualize that light, even if you don't see it, it will come in its own time. Master said, meditate on the light behind the darkness. Try, even if you don't see light, concentrate on the center of that darkness. Bit by bit, you'll begin to see a sort of a dim violet island in the middle of that darkness. That will be the beginning of the shaping of the spiritual eye. And as you concentrate more and more calmly, you will find that that light becomes stronger and stronger until it becomes this beautiful golden circle with a blue field inside it and a 5 white pointed star. The more you follow that star to the cradle of Christ consciousness, the more you will discover, and in time you will discover, your own birth in the Christ. That is what the spiritual path is. That is the redeeming light.
Good morning again, friends. I'd like to start with a wonderful reading from the autobiography of a yogi on light. Master sang, I was blessed at the age of 8 with a wonderful healing through the photograph of Lahiri Mahashaya. This experience gave intensification to my love. While at our family estate in Bengal, I was stricken with Asiatic cholera. My life was despaired of. The doctors could do nothing. At my bedside, mother frantically motioned me to look at Lahiri Mahashaya's picture on the wall above my head. Bow to him mentally. She knew I was too feeble even to lift my hands in salutation. If you really show your devotion and inwardly kneel before him, your life will be spared. I gazed at his photograph and saw there a blinding light enveloping my body and the entire room. My nausea and other uncontrollable symptoms disappeared. I was well. At once, I felt strong enough to bend over and touch Mother's feet in appreciation of her immeasurable faith in her guru. Mother pressed her head repeatedly against the little picture. Oh, omnipresent Master, I thank thee that thy light hath healed my son. It's such a beautiful story. It's such a beautiful topic that the inner light, the redeeming light, the light of Christ consciousness, of Krishna consciousness, the light of God, that it dwells within each one of us. And at these kinds of times of special times, we look outwardly. We make our house beautiful. We put up lights. We put lights on our altar. We light diyas. And honestly, it's beautiful and we all love it. But people have forgotten the inner light, that's the most important part of our whole life. Any special day, any holiday, any celebration is to inwardly feel God's presence in yourself. And particularly, this is the point of enlightenment, of higher consciousness, of Christ and Krishna consciousness, of upliftment into spirit, of God's light, of the light of the gurus, of the light of this whole world. Behind everything is light. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and then there was light. And so that light is emanating, is vibrating, it's coming out of each one of God's creations. And there's a particular aura of light that can be seen even. Master said, he looked at some of his disciples once and he said, you're all so beautiful. I see you all as light. You don't know how beautiful you are. He says, everything all around is just emanating light. And we forget that. And Jesus Christ said, if thine eye be single, meaning if you focus on God, really, your whole body shall be filled with light. And this is what our practices are about. It's not something that is superficial, something that's very deep, that we begin to become more and more the light. Just as one disciple of a great guru, he said that daily he would worship his guru, which is beautiful. We worship our gurus. And he said he would toss flower petals on the image of his guru every day, just in devotion. And one day he went into divine ecstasy himself. And he said he realized what was in his guru was within him. And he began to toss the flower petals on his own head. And we have to realize that that light that was in Lahiri Mahashaya and that healing, the light that's in all of our gurus, it's in us. And you can't just pranam and offer devotion and blessings to an outer form. You have to realize that it's within you. And as we meditate more, as we serve more, as we chant more, as we are in satsang, I hope you all were able to participate or at least view our 20th year anniversary. It was just marvelous. I saw every person there, just every day, more and more light, more and more uplifted, more and more inspired, more and more in God's blessings, more and more in the grace. And we have to realize that we live in that. But you choose. You can live on the outside. Or if you want the light, you have to stand in that light and let it just vibrate all around you. As Master said when he and his little friend Dijen, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, they were going to meet their guru at the train, Swami Sri Teswarji, and Master was looking for his guru. He says, oh, there, he's in that compartment. And then he said, the whole train is full of my guru's blessings and light. And everybody around you should feel the light that you have. It's not something you hide. But as you meditate more, as you do the practices as Master gave, as all of us do them, you become more and more bright. Your eyes change. A devotee's eyes are very different from somebody who's just worldly. You can see in the eyes stress or pain or worry or lust or money or attachments or desires. And just look in the mirror sometimes and see yourself. It should be full of light. The whole face changes and becomes more and more bright, more and more happy, more and more stress-free, more and more let go of attachments, and more free to become the soul, who and what we really are. And you can look at some of your old photographs. I used to do that quite a lot, and you can just see the changes. And some of you were in the Raja Yoga courses that I would have in Gurgaon, and I would take the photographs of the students. When they first came, it was, I think, 3 months, 2 or 3 months, we'd go through all the Raja Yoga book, and at the end, I would take their picture again, and we'd look at the difference in the face and the eyes. And I remember Swamiji said to us, he said, I see that you all have changed so much. I see your faces and the eyes. And so you have to realize that our practices are very powerful. As you do them, you begin to change. And also, so from the practices, we gain light over a year, over 2 years, over 5 years, over a decade, over 2 decades, over 3 decades, and you keep going until you're just bursting out of your body and you're just so happy and joyful and full of light. And also, so from the practices, and also then from the gurus, they're giving us God's light. Master met Dr. Lewis, his first disciple in America. Dr. Lewis came to him, you know the story, but it's a wonderful thing to meditate on, that he put the strength of his light into the disciple. And he did that often. I don't know often, but he did it with the disciples. So I have something at the end to read to you about that. But through our master had Dr. Lewis come in, and he'd never met him. Dr. Lewis said, I see here in the Bible, the Holy Scriptures of Bible, where it says, these are the words of Jesus Christ. It says, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. And he looked at Master and he said, I've asked many a minister, meaning a pastor and a acharya, head of a church, do they know what that means? And he says, I've never gotten an answer. Do you know what that means? And Master said, I think so. And he said, have you seen the light that he's talking about here? He says, I think so. He said, can you show me the light? Master said, I think so. And he had Dr. Lewis sit cross-legged in front of him on the floor. Master sat right there, and Master brought his forehead to Dr. Lewis's forehead. He didn't bring out one book. He didn't give a lecture. He showed him the spiritual eye. And Dr. Lewis said he was just enthralled. He'd read about this and he just never knew it really existed. And this is what people come to the path and are blessed by the gurus and the teachings, because we read these things, but we don't know if they really are true. Is it true? Master showed him, and then he showed him the 1,000-petaled lotus. These are chakras where you can see the light. Dr. Lewis said he just saw bubbling light at the top of his head. And when he left Master, he was in a state of ecstasy. And he went home. It was Christmas Eve. His wife, Mildred, was waiting for him. She was ready to clunk him over the head because he was so late for the Christmas decorations. But she saw his face and his eyes, and she saw the light, and she became a disciple of Master's as well. And we receive that light also from our blessings that we get at the center events at Kriya. We're blessed at the spiritual eye. At discipleship, we're blessed at the spiritual eye. At different ceremonies, we're blessed. When we come up after the satsang, we're blessed. Why do we get blessed all the time? Because we're opening up the light of God, the consciousness of God that dwells within us. And so it behooves us to keep our consciousness there as much as possible. It behooves us not to dwell into worries and fears and doubts and anger and wrong emotions. It behooves us to just fight to keep our energy up, to do the practices, to meditate deeply, to do energization, to do everything that we can to keep our consciousness uplifted, because here is where the light dwells. And you go into all those other things I just mentioned, you're going into darkness. Master said so clearly, he said, it's a self-created darkness. You created yourself. And there's no need. We have the techniques, we have the tools, we have the teachings, we have satsang, we have seva, we have chanting, we have all the different meditation practices. There's no excuse to not dwell in the light. And one thing happened, I'll close with this, with Rajasi, that he always was in light. And then at the end of his life, he had seen light all the time, but he just saw darkness. And he just said, well, I'll just continue meditating. And this is the thing, just continue. Don't expect something every hour, my gosh. And Rajasi just kept meditating and he didn't see any light anymore. And then at a certain point, he saw just a speck of light. And he said he just held on to that and he kept meditating on that over time. And then it got bigger and it grew. And this is how it comes. You don't expect a full-blown spiritual eye every day. It just see whatever you see. Just go into that with devotion, with love, with reverence. And then he said at a certain point, the spiritual eye opened and Swami Sri Teswarji came to him through the spiritual eye and said, all is well now. and then Lahiri Mahashaya, then Master Babaji. Each of the masters came to him and blessed him. And as you keep looking there at the spiritual eye, even if you don't see anything, if you see nobody, nothing, just know that the blessing is there from the masters. And one day it will more and more and more, not one day, but more, as more you meditate, the more the spiritual eye is there. And practicing Om and doing Kriyas and gazing up into the light. And so during this holiday time, don't get so drawn out by outward. It's wonderful, the festivities, but the way not to get so drawn in is to meditate. Meditate, don't skip your meditation. Meditate in the morning, meditate in the evening. That will keep your consciousness up. And sure, have your celebration, but remember the real Diwali is inside yourself. You can't get that outside of yourself. The real light is inside of yourself. And until we realize that, we'll always, like Swamiji said in that story about the diamond, be looking somewhere else, and this money and this relationship and my new job and my new role and my new name and whatever it is, but you'll never find it until you seek that inner light inside yourself. I like to close with a beautiful story of something that happened with a student of Master's who came to his classes. I'll just read this. He says, when we were nearing the end of the third course of lectures, we were told that anyone who had attended all the 3 courses and desired to do so could attend an extra class to see the divine light. When Swami Yogananda appeared, he directed that the lights be lowered. He stated that he wanted no one to say that he or she had seen the light unless such a person was definitely certain of it. When my turn came, Yogananda placed the tips of his little fingers over my ears and his thumbs near but not touching my closed eyes. At first, I felt nothing. After a minute or two, Yogananda asked if I had seen the light. I answered no. Several times more, this occurred. I kept my closed eyes in the proper position, looking upward at the center of my forehead, but all was dark. Suddenly, I sensed a great wave of power flowing down from Yogananda, who was standing over me. A great scintillating light appeared, and there were the wings of the dove, the spiritual eye. I did not lose my perception. I gazed directly at the center of the light. It was a most beautiful and inspiring sight. A feeling of utter and absolute peace and well-being filled me with ecstasy. I held my gaze on the light, although it was very bright and scintillating. I did not stir when I said I had seen it. Yogananda left me for the next class member. For 2 or 3 days after that, I could still see a spark of light there when I closed my eyes. I'll ask Natendra to join me now on the screen.
Thank you, Dhyanaji, for the inspiration. We have a few questions.
Okay.
The first one is the inner light specific to our path?
No. I mean, I read about it there, just told you a quote from the Bible. So the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of Krishna, the teachings of any great master talk about light. I mean, you never hear anybody talking about darkness. They all talk about light, no? is not specific to us. These are inner realities, realities of our being in this lifetime, in this body. And this is a chakra. Everyone has chakras if they know it or not. And here is a chakra. There's 7 chakras in the body. They're all emanating light and vibrations and sounds. But most people have no idea that there's an inner life. So we're blessed that we have the knowledge from our gurus that it even exists and that we can even pursue it, the sounds and lights, and that we can even experience them. It's a great blessing. Most people have no idea. They don't even want to know. And so to have come into this lifetime and found the gurus, found the path, really they found us, let's face it, and brought us to the path is very, very, very good karma, as Master has said. So yes, it's other paths, true paths, all talk about the light. Now, I grew up in a church that talked about light, but there was no way to experience. They didn't teach how to experience it, or even that you could experience it. So that's another level of it. Yes, there is light, but is it within us? Can we experience it? That's not known very much either.
Thank you, Dhyanaji. 2 more questions. The first one is, how can we hold on to this light even after our meditation?
That's a good question. It's not like you walk around seeing light, but you can feel an energy of upliftment, isn't it? Even if you don't feel a vibration or anything there at the point between the eyebrows, the point of the spiritual eye, you feel like, now I feel very uplifted, but I'm not seeing light. I can feel something there at the spiritual eye, but it's not like I'm focused there. You see what I'm saying? But I feel very uplifted in that vibration. So what you should do is always just try to keep your consciousness up. And also in conversation, if the conversation is going down with somebody, try to change the topic and get the conversation going again. I do that a lot. People go into some weird way. It's not spiritually healthy. And be around people who are positive, people who have good vibrations, and do your activities should be uplifting. Sometimes it can't always be, but 80%, 85, 90%, try to have uplifting experiences and activities and thoughts, and then you'll find that your energy stays up. Soon as you start feeling going down, then you just got to shift, either tense and relax the body, energize, walk in place, put on Swamiji's music, chant, mentally chant Om Guru, Om Guru. Close your eyes a minute and gaze here at this spiritual eye. Reveal thyself, you can say over and over. Meaning, don't just be passive. Passivity is not the answer for a disciple and a devotee. You've got to always be putting forth energy. And you need rest from time to time, but just watch your consciousness. Because looking at the spiritual eye, honestly, what we're saying is it uplifts your consciousness. Your consciousness is uplifted, and so your attitudes are better. Your energy is better. You're more expansive. You're more perceptive. You're more in tune with God. That's what this means. It's not just, I see the light and the light's pretty. It's like you want to get your consciousness to a point where it is light. You're not just seeing the light. It's light, and you have become that light. Then you're in Christ consciousness and Krishna consciousness. And the more and more you do that, the more free from this world you are. That's the bottom line. Okay, you have one more?
Yes, Dhyanaji. So the last one is, we have Diwali on Sunday, and you also mentioned the real Diwali is inside. So what's the best way to celebrate Diwali, especially when there is so much happening outside with food and friends and lights and so on?
Food and friends are fun, isn't it? Well, personally, I'm coming to the Gurgaon Center on Saturday to celebrate with everybody. And we're having chanting. I hope all the centers, I'm sure, are doing something, chanting and meditation and a blessing and some short discourse on the light. And everybody will have a light to, to bring up to the altar. I mean, start in a spiritual way. And I mean master's spiritual way. You understand what I'm saying? So start with, be with Guru Bhais if you possibly can, and start with in our spiritual way. Don't just disregard what Master said and just go into a Diwali way. And then if you do that, and here's another thing, just pray to Master, the Gurus, just say, bless me on this special day. You bless me. It's a special day, but I want your blessing. And just say, bless me the whole day. Bless my family. Bless my friends. Bless our activities. Bless what we do today. I don't want to be out of tune. And if you say that with deep sincerity, Master will keep coming in your mind, like, well, maybe you ate too many sweets, whatever it is. But just keep in tune with the gurus and everything will go. What goes wrong? It goes wrong when you just sort of forget about your teachings and your teachers, and you just dive into the holiday. This is wrong. It's very wrong. I don't have time to say much, but really short, I'll say, our first Christmas here, we were so alone and lonely, but Swamiji came down. We had no Christmas tree, no gifts, no nothing, and he came down and he started talking about Master's time with Master at Christmas. Whoa. I mean, I realized we were sitting there with a Christ. What do you need a tree for? Why do you need some presents? Why do you need anything? If you're sitting there, we were just overwhelmed with the vibrations of the gurus. I left there and thought, never, ever think about any holiday like that. It's all in yourself. And if you go within, that's all you really need. God bless you all. Happy Diwali. Thank you, Nitendra.